have a special guest in the building. I'm allow him to introduce himself.
All right, I'm Jaylon Braxton. I'm a senior in Aggie Central this year. I'll be graduating. I'll be attending LSU in the fall as a pre-med student majoring in biochemistry. I have a few achievements up here. I'm in Beta Club, which is basically an honor club for those who score very well in high school, my LSU. And then here's some of my track awards because I've been doing track for several years, probably about 6 years, two in middle school, and then 3 or 4 now in high school. So I've achieved a lot with that. Have my saxophone here. I'm a musician as well. I've mastered about 5 different instruments and also sing.
All right, so we're gonna jump right into it. As you all hear, this man is full of accomplishments at a very young age. Would you like to tell the people how old you are?
Oh, I'm 17 years old.
17. So at 17 years old, you're in the process of graduating high school in 3 years. Would you like to elaborate on that a little bit? Tell everyone how did that come about?
Originally, that wasn't the plan. I was going to go in traditionally as a 4-year student and graduate in 2021. But upon the completion of my freshman year, I had completed my freshman PE courses that I needed and my art credit. And so, by the way, I was looking my senior year, I would basically be coming to school for 1 or 2 periods and going home. And so I kind of found it ineffective if I could knock those classes out and graduate instead of wasting another year. Because my main motive was because I want to become a doctor. And so that journey is after high school, that's a 15-year journey depending on my specialty that I want to go into. So whatever I can do to make that shorter, I thought, why not do it? So I talked to my counselors after my freshman year. They set it up for me and things worked out wonderfully.
Okay, so with that much being on your plate, at times does it get stressful?
Oh yeah. This year I had a job and I actually had to quit my job because I had a lot going on with school for track, academics, dual enrollment classes, and everything. So I try to be as well rounded as possible, but not stress myself out or stretch myself too thin.
So with that on your plate, 17 years old, senior in high school, getting ready to go into college, how do you find time to still have a social life?
I would say it's kind of easy. I'm a very social person, so I talk to everyone, and I still go out party per se with friends. I still have fun. It's not that my academics totally consume my life and I don't have a social life. It's a well balanced mix between all of it, and that's in life. You just have to find a balance of everything and not overwhelm yourself with one or the other.
What's your current GPA?
3.95.
Okay, okay. All right, so I know you have several different achievements. I know at a young age you were very into sports, uh, and then grew the love for music. At what point did you decide what you wanted your profession to be?
I think for the longest, I knew that I wanted to be a doctor or in some field of helping people. I thought lawyer, doctor, at one point even a teacher, um, because I'm all about going out and helping those in need of help. And once I continued on to my high school career, I found out that my strengths of what really interests me were the sciences, biological sciences, and I took a deeper look into medicine, went to some pre-med camps, some camps that were designed to treat those who wanted to go into the medical field, and it really interested me. And so that's when I thought, this is what I want to do. So I took a deeper look into what it was, and I thought about it, and I want to be a surgeon.
Okay, okay, okay. So with that being said, we're gonna go a little further back, starting off your childhood. How would you describe your childhood?
Um, my family's super big. It's very big, and it's a lot of moving parts, I would say. So my childhood growing up was very interesting. We moved about 3 times. Our first house burned down when I was a toddler. Then after that, we moved to a second house, third house, and now we're at a current house. So I was always moving, but I still stayed in the same school district because I was going to the magnet school, so
Right.
anybody could go there. So that didn't really change my school life much. But I believe I was an active child. My mom always kept me in everything, and she always kept me active in sports, school. I was quiz bowl, playing football football for the rec league, everything.
Right. I remember. I know you tried football, tried basketball, tried track. We did track. At what point? Okay, I'm gonna go back. Going from your biological standpoint, your mother and father both were basketball players. At what point did you realize basketball was not for you?
Well, that was realized at a young age. I remember my mom coached a rec basketball team one time, and I was on her team. And even though I was her son, I got 0 playing time the whole season. And I liked basketball, but I didn't like it as much as other sports. Like, I knew everybody pushed me towards it because they were like, "Oh, your dad was amazing, your mom's a coach. Why don't you do it?" I'm like, it's just not for me.
What was it about basketball that just wasn't you?
I don't even think it was something in particular. I think it's because, when your parents push you to do something and everybody expects you to do, you want to go against the grain. So I was like, everybody expects me to do this, so I was like, I'm not going to do it. I want to go above the average.
Gotcha. Speaking of your father, you lost your father at a very young age. Like, what type of impact do you feel like that's had on your life?
I feel like it's encouraged me to push to excel more in my life, and then sometimes it makes me even think what would have been different if he was still here.
Right.
Like currently, I'm going into college, and even one of his colleges the college he attended to, Paul Quinn College, I actually looked at that as an option when I was applying to colleges, because of course you want to live up to your father's legacy or even exceed it, So I feel he's, even not being here, he's still pushing me a lot and pushing me to excel and be better.
Cool. I can dig that. Yeah. And I went into that for the simple fact that you lost your father at 5. You were 5, right?
I believe 4.
4 or 5 years old. You grew up in a small town of Natchitoches, Louisiana. Population of what I probably about 20,000. 20,000. And a lot of people uses that as an excuse or a crutch to say why they end up doing this and why did they end up doing that. What would you say for a child that's either experiencing right now or have experienced the loss of a parent and maybe headed in the wrong direction? Like, what type of advice would you give them?
I would say to them that no matter what happens, everything happens for a reason. I have a strong faith in God, and I believe I believe in God and a upper being, and everything is designed and everything is happening for a reason. You might not see it now, or you might not have the courage to take on what you want to at this point, but you should always know that no matter what happens, it happened for a reason, and it's gonna play out to you one day, and you'll figure out why.
Okay. Being that you have such a strong faith, and we know that came up in choir.
Yes.
You actually played music for your church.
Yeah, I played the drums for my church.
Okay. Has that ever been a time where you've been in doubt?
Of course. Every Christian, no matter who you are, how young you are, how old you are, you'll have doubts about your faith. But that's when you have to turn to the Word, turn to God, pray, and it's kind of like a connection, I say. Like, I have a conversation with God when I pray. It's not like what people think you have a recited prayer that you say every time. When I talk to God, I tell him, like, he knows what I'm thinking. I know what I'm thinking. We talk it out. And I just leave it all on the table. I repent for my sins. And I keep that strong connection with God even when I'm in troubling times, even when I'm in great times. Like, because I know a lot of people only pray when it's bad. And so, like, I pray when it's bad, and then when it gets good, I'm like, oh, thank you, God. Like, you can't forget what you prayed for just because you get it.
All right. So, Ben, we're speaking on your prayer life. You grew up, well, we all pretty much grew up in the same church, which was St. Paul's Baptist Church. You're one of the few, I would say, youth that are still actively involved in that church. How do you feel about a lot of people or a lot of teens, when they get to a certain age, they're going towards these more mega churches or more newer churches? Like, What's your take on it?
I feel like what's for you is for you. So like if you don't feel that that church doesn't fit your needs or you don't fit in there, then you can always go and find a connection that's best for you. For me, I've personally stayed there because I have strong family connections. I enjoy my members, pastor, and I'm the president of the youth choir there for about 6 or 7 standing years now. So I've been tied there, and it's not a bad tie. I love going there. I love my church. I stay active in the church and the community. So I just make sure to stay involved. And if you don't feel like you're not getting enough out of church, I would say try to get involved and try to do more to see if you can find that connection and bond.
Definitely. All right, speaking of getting involved, you know how a lot of people always saying it's nothing to do with negatives, from the adults to the kids. You've actually been active pretty much all of your life on a constant basis. So how do you feel about constantly hearing people say that? Like, what's your take on it?
I feel like because we have such a small town, it's like the small town mentality when everybody's like, there's nothing to do because like we don't have a mall or we don't have like this big venue like a what do they call it, like main event or something like that.
Like a big arcade or something.
Yeah, like we have the skating rink, movies, Walmart parking lot. But I feel like you just apply yourself. You find your group of people. You can hang out. I've literally had a group of friends. We go hang out in my car, put in a movie in my car, and we watch it and hang out. Like, you can find your fun. You can find your niche. You can. It's a small town, but of course there's still possibilities. I'm not saying that it's as much as per se Houston, Shreveport, Baton Rouge, but you have to take advantage of what you have and utilize what you have.
Definitely. You speaking of colleges, you of all the colleges you've applied to, what all colleges were you accepted to? Your offers, like, you want to go into details a little bit, elaborate on that a little bit.
I'm actually releasing a YouTube about this very soon. So I'll give you like a basic gist. I applied to about I got accepted into around 12 colleges. Okay. I applied to 18. Because at that time I didn't know what I wanted to do, and also I figured I apply to what interests me, and by the time I narrow it down, I have somewhere that I want to go, and like not apply to 3 and then like not be satisfied with it.
Definitely.
So of course I applied to like the top schools that were great pre-med schools in our area, which was Baylor University in Texas, Louisiana State University, LSU, and then Tulane University. Those were my first 3 that I applied to. After that, I went to my safeties, which the schools like you use as a backup, in case anything happens. So I applied here in Northwestern State, Southern University, UL, ULM. I applied to those great schools as well. And then I expanded my horizons, and of course I went big. I applied for Harvard, UPenn, Cornell, Vanderbilt, all those high ones, University of Florida. My only reach school, like the top school I got into, was University of Florida. The other ones I got at Harvard, I got deferred for the first round, and then I got rejected. But it was a great experience to do everything, and got to interview one of the people that interviewed me from Harvard was actually a doctor.
Wow.
He was a surgeon.
Wow.
So we sat there and we talked for about an hour and a half about it. The interview was only supposed to be 30 minutes. And we sat there and talked about it, and it was actually an amazing experience, and I'm proud to make those connections and be in touch with those type of people.
It's definitely great to hear someone at your age be able to speak on such a high level and being able to experience so much, both the loss and the gains. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand that's what shapes us into who we are, both the good and the bad. I know you had over, if I'm not mistaken, over $250,000 scholarship.
Yeah, it was around that, yeah.
And so that goes back to, what we were talking about, you being from a small town, and people are saying those options are, pretty much not obtainable and things of that nature. But you were 17 years old, finishing high school a year early, were able to exceed those expectations. What do you think played the biggest part in it?
I think it would be that my parents instilled in me a good work ethic, and I always pursue a higher education at a young age. both of my parents were educators, coaches, so they were always in the school system, and so I was right there along with them,
Right.
always learning. And I just have a natural desire to learn more about what's going on around me. I even tried to get involved in politics for a little bit.
Bet you did.
Everything interests me, so I always try to learn more. And so I feel like that drove me to excel at what I do in the
Right.
school environment and even in the athletic environment as well.
Definitely. So, of all the sports you played, which one you enjoyed the most?
I would say I only played the only sport that I played 1 year at the high school level was freshman baseball,
Hmm.
and it was actually pretty fun. We had a new coach that year, and he brought us to the playoffs for the first time in like 20 something years
Wow.
or something. And it was pretty fun. But at the end of the year, I had to decide between track and baseball, and I was like, okay, I enjoyed baseball, but I know I'm not as good as I am in track, and I enjoy track, and I'm really good, but I enjoy baseball a little more, and I'm kind of decent at it. So I chose what was best for me, and I ended up getting I ended up getting a offer for track because I'm graduating a year early. So like some certain colleges think that I'm still a junior this year. Some don't know I'm a senior.
Yeah.
So it was kind of weird trying to get all that in place. So I'm not gonna do sports in college on the NCAA level, but yeah.
And I always wonder what happened with that because I know you really love baseball. So that kind of clarifies that.
Yeah, that's
so
what happened.
All the sports you participated in, what was the worst? Which one you disliked the most?
I wouldn't say I disliked this one the most, but it was the hardest sport that I've ever did. And no one would expect it either, because I didn't expect to go in it, but it was when I participated on the swim team. Swim was horrible. And I'm an excellent swimmer. I'm a lifeguard.
Right.
But when I did swim, I wanted to die after every practice. And then, like, it was a, I would say a terrible experience, but it was up there. And that was the first sport, the first thing that I ever quit before the season ended.
Wow.
Yes.
So that was the most challenging.
Yes, but I'm not a quitter.
So why did you quit?
My mother said that it was a too hectic situation because I didn't have a car at that point.
Oh, okay. Got it.
But I wasn't complaining when I had to.
Got it. Okay, so I will give a little rundown of all the sports you've participated in.
Okay. I'll start with the most recent. I did varsity track and field, varsity soccer, varsity swim, freshman baseball. Then in middle school, I did football, and I think, yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
So I did about everything.
So what about clubs? Type of clubs you've been involved in?
Okay, well, earlier I mentioned I'm in Beta Club, which is basically an organization to attract those of higher intellect, different things like that. I've been in FCA, my Youth in High School Fellowship of Christian Athletes, FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America. That club, basically, we test on different subjects and try to score well and go to state. I participated in the blood drive committee as well, so help people sign up for the blood drive and different things like that. And that's about it. I stayed pretty active in high school.
Right. And I know pretty much since you've been able to, every summer you also work. While participating in these sports and extracurricular activities, like, how did you find time to balance all it?
Last year, I would say, like this, the summer 2019 was one of my most challenging summers. I had 2 different camps to go to while I was a lifeguard as well. So the lifeguard was out the whole summer, then I had 2 camps to go to. Well, the AHEC program wasn't a camp, but it was the program where you spend from morning to about 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the hospital, and you would go shadow doctors and different nurses and different things like that, and then you go to the classroom and learn more about the health field. And so I would go from there, run to the pool in my scrubs, change into my lifeguard outfit, and go get on sand. And then I had to go to Southern Band Camp as well, and very interested in being there. So I went to that band camp, and it took like a week block out of my summer. Came back, got right back on stand. So it was a pretty hectic summer, but I got to enjoy it and do everything that I wanted to do.
It kept you busy. So when you speak of these camps that you've been involved in, I know you've been going to camps for quite some time. Dare camp, all type of camps.
Yeah.
of those camps, like, did you find those yourself? Your mother the one finding those camps? Like, how did you become involved in all those different camps?
A lot of it was from the school announcing it over the intercom, or giving us information. My mom searching for it. I don't think. Well, the one camp that I did find myself was the ULM President's Academy. That was the summer of 2018. That was like a medical camp as well. And I went there. But it has different tracks. You can do medical, law, technology, all that different type of stuff. But I chose the medical field. And I found that one myself, but the school did announce that one. Well, like they sent it through J Campus. And so I found that one, and I let my mother know, and we filled out everything for that. But other than that, it's mainly been the school announcing it, or my mom finding out about it and letting me know.
So basically, for all the kids out there that's saying there's nothing to do, there's a lot to do, and Natchez Central definitely have a lot of resources.
Yeah, I would say Natchez Central, it's a big school, and people think you get lost in the shuffle and just like soak in. But I think you should get active, find your voice, speak out, go find whatever you want to do. Talk to your guidance counselors as well, because they will help you a lot.
Okay, last but not least, definitely. For the last probably 5 years, we've had to hear about you becoming a jukebox.
A juke.
Whatever, a juke. Okay, correct me. So, finally you've decided the university you're going to, and it wasn't Southern. How did that come about?
Well, first I would like to say when I announced my college decision, I got so many calls and texts and everybody going like crazy because I was so hardcore Southern. And I still go Jags, but it's go Tigers as well. It was one of the first of many sacrifices I'm going to have to make on the road to become a doctor.
Right.
The band at Southern, they're extremely well. Like, everybody sees them and knows that that's the band.
Right.
They practice strenuous, and I looked at their practice schedule and looked at what I wanted to do, and everything just didn't correlate. Because if I wanted to be a competitive medical school applicant, I need research, I need internships, I need all these different things. And so being in the band where you practice from 4 o'clock until every day,
right,
like 4 o'clock to 12 o'clock, 4 o'clock to 1, I couldn't be able to get everything done that I needed to become a competitive medical school applicant. So I found that if I couldn't go to Southern, I chose the next best thing, LSU. Right across the city, I can go across the town.
So you were saying LSU is the next best thing?
Well,
alright, that's a first. That's definitely a first.
A lot of people saw my choice as very bad because I put Southern at the top of my list, then Baylor, then LSU, then Tulane, and they were like, Southern? I'm like, yeah. The HBCU experience is like nothing else. You get treated like family everywhere around campus. Even when I toured, the guidance people, my tour guides, everybody, you got treated like family there. Not putting down anyone else, not LSU, because even when I went to LSU, it was a pretty good experience. But you know, on an HBCU campus as a black male, you get treated like your family, and everybody feels your experience.
Okay, well, are you ready to get this college journey started?
If Corona doesn't take it out first.
So for the record, before we leave, what school are you attending for those who didn't understand this language?
I'll be attending Louisiana State University, LSU.
All right. Go Tigers.
Go
We're
Tigers.
out.